Hello and welcome to the demo video for the Meal Manager and Calorie Report. Now, what this is, it's a free spreadsheet, but it really is threefold what this can be used for. Number one, if you're this is just for personal use, if you want to plan your meals, write down the ingredients for each meal and some information about the recipe and actually be able to track what each meal is costing and get together a nice list for your grocery shopping, etc. This can be used for you. This is one of the reasons why I give it away for free, because I want to help people who are in a situation who are monitoring their expenses and their calories for the meals to be able to track it with this. The second thing is, if you have some kind of restaurant or you're a professional chef, whatever, and you're cooking for people, this can also help for that, because obviously you can keep track of all of your meals and whatnot and calories and that type of thing in here too. So that'll be useful for you. And if this is for you using as a business and you're getting something out of it, then I wish you all the best with this. Alternatively, if you don't have a business and you're not interested in monitoring food, the third thing to bear in mind is this is essentially something that manages stock. So it keeps track of what stock you've got, what you're actually using in the process, and then what you would need to replenish that stock. So whatever business you have, if you're looking for some kind of stock control spreadsheet, take a look at this and just see how it works, see how Excel can actually track what's in stock, what's going out of stock, what you're about to purchase, what you need to purchase, what you need to replenish stock, etc. Because this concept can be used within any kind of stock control business. So if this inspires you into something bigger and better and greater for your business, or something that's just at least more customized, then do get in touch. But let me talk you through how to use this. The first thing on the measurements, this is just a settings tab. If you come to settings tab, you see the measurements, your name, these selection boxes here. At the bottom, you've got all these links to the website and the video links and all the rest of it. But all you need to fill in are the ones underneath these blue headers, excuse me. So the measurements, these are things like kilograms, liters, pints, each if you're buying individual items. So in other words, when you go and buy whatever ingredients you're buying, what are the measurements that you think that you're going to need? So I've put in certain ones like these ones, but you can add others into this list. Just be sure that you don't add any duplicates and make sure that you've got all the measurements covered. Now, I'm not talking about things like a bottle or a jug or whatever. They're not known measurements. These are known measurements. So it would either be kilograms, liters, pint, or just each in units, or whatever the case might be. You might want to change them to you might want to put in something else, maybe like a pound if you're dealing in pounds rather than kilograms, that kind of thing. But that's up to you. You can add some more measurements. You'll see shortly where those are used. Here you can put your name or your business name or personal name. It doesn't go anywhere, it just goes to the spreadsheet. So you can put that in there. And then these ones are just ask whether it's compulsory. Now, the spreadsheet doesn't monitor calories, it monitors prices and it monitors stock. Now, you might not want to monitor any of these. So for example, you may not want to keep stock and you might not want to monitor your stock, in which cases this can be a pain for you. You can just say, nope, forget it, I'm not going to monitor that, and do an X. Now, these won't eliminate anything from the spreadsheet. All it'll do is it won't ask you for that information. So if you say, for example, you want to eliminate stock, it just won't ask you for the stock. You can still put it in, you can still use it. It will still calculate it for you. Later on, you'll see what I'm talking about, but the cells won't turn yellow to insist on it. So if you're not going to use stock, put it in. Otherwise, it's going to ask you for your stock levels all the time. Same with the prices, same with the calories. So you can choose which part of the spreadsheet you want to use. That's the setup. You can come back and change this later on if you want to. You can come back and add some more measurements later on if you want to, and you can change your name at any stage. So now we've got the three blue tabs. The first two are, the first one's ingredients, where you list all of your ingredients. This is the most tricky to complete. I'll take you through that in a minute. Then you list all of your meals, which is relatively easy to complete. And then you do what we call create recipes, where you assign ingredients to a particular meal. So those are the three data tabs, and all the blue headers are what you're filling in. So let's start with the ingredients. This is the trickiest one. Type the name of the ingredient. So I've just put ingredient 1, 2, 3, whatever. You might put, I don't know, 500 milliliter, or 500 gram rice, or 500 gram white rice or whatever it might be. You want to give it a decent description because you can't use the same description more than once. So you can't put rice, and then, 1 kilogram packet 500 ml. You have to put rice dash 1 kilo, rice dash 500 to keep the ingredient name separate. So you can list all of the ingredients that you may want to use in either meals. You can come back and add some more later on. That's not a problem. You don't have to add them all up front. And then what you do is you select which measurements you're using. Now, the measurements are the ones that you put in the intro and setup tab. So for argument's sake, if this was a kilogram bag of rice, I could go, which measurement am I using? Kilogram. What's the volume of the packet? I.e. in kilograms, it's 1 kilogram, so 1.000. If that was a half kilogram, I put 0.5 and it would be a half a kilogram, 500 ml. And then this here is simply what you call it, because later on it's just going to go and buy a bag of rice at Tesco, so you can type in their bag, whatever it might be. If you want to keep it as kilo, you can put it in as kilo if it is 1 kilo, etc. But this is just a description of the unit that you're buying. It will give you the measurements as well. So these two are the most important ones. This, you can call it what you like. Then you're going to put down how many calories. And then it's going to ask you per what. So if you put in 100 calories, it'll say is it per kilo or per bag, because here we've said per bag, and you can say, well, actually it's 100 calories per kilo. Or for example, maybe it is per bag. Maybe they give you the calories for the full bag, in which case you can then put, actually that's 100 calories for the full bag, or whatever it might be. The spreadsheet will then work it out depending on what you've got. It'll work it back to the correct number of calories per serving. You can put in the price of that unit. So if you're going to go and buy a kilogram of whatever ingredient, one would be rice, or 1 kilogram, how much does that cost? You can put the price in, and then you can put your supplier, where it is that you buy. Now your supplier's got a drop-down list. However, the way that this works is it's purely giving you a drop-down list of the suppliers already entered. So it says as the little Tesco. If we went to another line and said, for example, M&S, you could type in M&S, and then the next time you'll see as the little M&S Tesco. So it just simply adds to the list. The reason why I've done this is because later on you'll be able to filter by supplier. So I didn't want people typing in, for example, Tesco on one line and then TES for Tesco on another line, because you want to keep it the same. So you just want to make sure that you're not duplicating any stores with spelling mistakes or anything like that. That's why I've given the drop-down list. So what I would suggest is check the drop-down list. The store you want isn't there, type them in again. If they are there, make sure you select it, because then you keep all the spelling and everything correct. The number in stock, if you do a stock take, for example, and you go, well, how many do I actually have? You can put them in. Now, this is the number of bags you've got. So instead of putting 325 grams, you just said put in a bag. So you can put one bag, or if it was, say, around 500 grams, you could just put in 0.5 bags, for example. So it's just a one decimal place, a rough indication of how many you have in stock as far as number of bags are concerned. And then what's the minimum quantity? Now, if you're not using stock, as you said, not using stock before, you can leave this blank, just uncheck it at the beginning and it won't ask you for it. Otherwise, put in a minimum quantity that you want to have in stock of each of these items. You can also put some notes here about that particular ingredient, should you need to. Maybe put something, for example, buy the low calorie one, or whatever the case might be. It's up to you. Once you've got your ingredients, you then do a similar thing with the meals, but then you just name the meal. Again, don't do any duplicates. So give the meal a name. How many people does it serve? And if you've got any short thing of notes about that meal, maybe an allergy thing or whatever it might be that you can put in for that meal. And then what that does is it collects this information, but from the other tab once you've done the recipe. So I'll come back to that in a minute. The recipe's fairly straightforward. Each line would be a meal and an ingredient. So you'd say, for example, meal one, ingredient one, how many, as soon as you select one, so let's just go back here and let's just say we want to add an ingredient to meal one. We put meal one, it then asks us for the ingredient. We say that the ingredient is ingredient 4. It says, what do we need? Now we know that it comes in kilograms, the measurement is kilograms. So we put this in as kilograms. So if it needs 250 grams, sorry, put 0.250, say 250 grams. And then we can order the recipe. So what this order does is, if you have a look at all the meal ones, it says 1, 2, 3, 4. We want to slot this in at number 5. We can put that at number 5. If we say we want that in the order of 4, then we can actually put that in as 4. And we can change that one over there to 5, for example. Now, when you're finished, you can sort by the meal A to Z. So it brings all of one together. And then you can sort, well, you can sort first of all by the smallest to largest here, and then sort by A to Z. And then what it does is actually puts these in order. You don't have to sort by this first. It'll look at the order and it'll put them in later on. When you're calling up a meal breakdown, you can actually decide what order to put those ingredients in for each of those particular meals. So that is keeping track of all of the meal. Now, once you've done that, you can see here, as soon as you select what the ingredients and stuff is, it tells you what the measurement, how many it serves, calories, cost, whether you've got enough in stock, etc. But when you go back to the meals, it now tells you the total calories, the portion calories, total cost, portion cost, number of ingredients, and all in stock with regard to the recipes that you've put in place. So that in itself is quite useful to have all of that information, but these final 2 tabs is really what brings it all together. Number 1, you can have a meal breakdown. You can come here and you can select any one of those meals. And then what it does is it tells you the calories per portion, total, etc., all at the top here, number of portions, and it lists ingredients in the order that you've got them, and it tells you what you've got in stock, and it'll give you the notes and all the ingredients for that. So if you've written some notes down here as a recipe, it'll all pop up here. If you've got more than 60 lines here, which is probably unusual, and you're going over to the second page, you can come up here, it'll say page 1 of 2, and you can click in there for the second page. But in this case, we don't have any. So that's your meal breakdown for meal 1. The last page, which is one of the most useful ones, is your shopping list. So what you can do here, let's just clear this, is you can actually come, let's just say you want to come do a week's worth of shopping, and you say, well, I want to have meal 1, meal 2, meal 3, oops, let's just do that again. And you want to say, get 2 of those, 2 of those, and 1 of those. It now tells you what it is that you need to actually purchase. Not only that, but you can say, use the items in stock, yes, and replenish your quantity, yes. So I'll get to those 2. The other page is 1 of 1. This is just if you've got more than 65 ingredients, you can then have a look at page 1 of 2. Also, you can put in the date of the shop. If you want to go to the shop on a specific date, if you leave that blank, it'll just put today's date in there. Otherwise, you can override that by putting in the date. So if you said, for example, 1st of Jan, then it will put the 1st of January in there. If you leave a blank, it'll put in today's date. These 2, use items in stock. What does this mean? Do you want to actually use the items that you've got in stock? So if you say yes, it'll then use those items. So you'll be purchasing less if you've got stock. If you say no, then it ignores what you've got in stock, and it actually just buys everything. Nothing's actually changing at the moment because the stock levels are low, but that would change. So if you say use the items in stock, no, then what it'll do is it'll update and actually give you the items that you actually need to be ordering. Then your meals, we've dealt with that. You don't have to put the quantity. If they're 1, it'll automatically accept 1, but if it's more than 1, do put it in. And then you can replenish stock to minimum. So if you say yes, then what it does is once it's used the stock and everything, and make sure that all the stock levels are back to the minimum. If you say no, then it just simply it adjusts and uses the stock and doesn't actually replenish the stock within your stock sheet. So you can if you say yes, it takes everything, it uses up what it needs, it takes everything up to the minimum quantity. If you say no, it just uses what it needs and it doesn't replenish. And if you say use the item in stock, yes, then it uses what's in stock. If you say no, then it doesn't. Yeah, the only other thing left on here is if you want to have a single supplier. So let's just say, for argument's sake, you have a long list and it's going over 2 pages, and you want to say, well, I'm just going to Asda today, I'm not going to the other stores. Then you can actually just come there and select Asda, and it clears everything else and just gives you the Asda items. Or you can say Tesco, and it'll just give you the Tesco. Or you can leave it blank and it'll give you all of the items on your shopping list. There's the total of the cost of the spend. That's what you're going to be spending in total. And yeah, I think that's that's all that I need to explain to you. I hope that makes sense. Do have a bit of a play around with it, see how it works. If you've got any feedback, if there's anything broken or anything like that, let me know. But otherwise, I wish you all the best. If this is for business, if it's for you personally, I really hope that it helps you to keep on track of your calories and your spend. And yeah, all the best. Thank you. Bye-bye.